I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
On today's episode of 1 Minute Reaction to Fire Force episode 13, The Trap is Set. Definitely a swing and a miss coming off last week's episode, but I'm so glad they went into detail how these doppelgangers existed. But unfortunately, I was right about one thing. Asuka is about to go through a night of hell. So last we left off, we had this nice little battle between Benimaru and basically the entirety of the 8th. Why? Because he swears to all heaven that he saw Obi and Takehise conspiring and basically admitting guilt to turning his once friend into an infernal. But as far as we're concerned, we know for a fact it was the Whiteclads who somehow disguised himself. Luckily in this episode, we do find out how. Why? Because they're not the only ones. Now before we get to that, let's talk about ending out the flashback. Yes, we saw Conroe save Benimaru last episode, back before they were even part of the Fire Force, taking on an infernal, and basically Conroe pushes Benimaru to safety and takes on the infernal by himself. And in doing so, we know that is the reason where he had to overuse his powers, and now he basically is in a constant critical condition where at any point it looks like he can just turn to ash. Or could he possibly turn into a infernal? I'm not 100% sure, but after the reminiscing is done, they decide to go out and help. Meanwhile, Benimaru's already started investigating, but he's noticing more and more these cases of mistaken identity. So the Whiteclads not only copied Takehise and Obi, but it seems their goal is to create constant commotion and panic in the city, and it seems it's part of a bigger plan. Now out and about, we run across Hikage and Hinata, the two twin girls of Company 7, who seem to be fighting, each one claiming that the other one's an imposter. Well, luckily for us, and much to my surprise, Arthur knew which one was which and ends up kneeing the other one in the face. Now, the rest of the group, like myself, is just completely fucking shocked, but he proclaims, no, that's a little old dude, so I need him in the face. And eventually, his face begins to bubble and twist and conform back to what it really was. And this is where we cut to another member of the Whiteclad actually doing this operation. Basically, what I assumed was some kind of heat mirage just from the two characters we saw, but in reality, this person has the ability to manipulate, blood vessels and muscles in the face and use the contusions and all that other shit to basically remold a person's face to his liking. Well, also, if he doesn't like it, he'll probably blow your entire fucking head off. But this is why there's so many cases of mistaken identities. These individuals are basically sacrifices sent there to stir up the panic, and then at some point, I believe they're ingesting or taking in the infernal insects, and that's why we see these towering things of flame, indicating that the infernals are, making their move and everyone's turning into them. So it is literally fucking panic everywhere. Now this is where we get some more action with the Whiteclads. We've already met one of them, the Arrow one that shot us during the incident with Rekka. I believe it's a she, but she's back and she has a partner. Now I can't tell their exact plans. I can't tell if they're trying to keep their distance from Shinra or leading him away. Even he's kind of confused, but he still goes after them, and eventually he catches up with them, but it's basically a trap. But luckily, Arthur is soon there to save the day, and now we see a comedic mishap between those two, who honestly should be like the dynamic duo of the 8th, yet seems can't even work together. And in this sequence, we get a really nice back and forth between the two groups, but eventually, Shinra and Arthur find their groove and gain the upper hand. But right before they can do anything else, the Whiteclad tells the Arrow girl to run for it, and he ingests an insect. Ending out the episode, we see Benimaru again. He's dealing with an infernal, and he summons his burning Matoi, indicating that he soon will join the fray. Honestly, I am just so glad to be back after that break. Fire Force has definitely become a mainstay of my Fridays, and without it, it felt kind of lonely. I am left with a couple questions. If the Whiteclad/Evangelist are just after the 8th or Shinra, why did they wait so long until they were in another person's jurisdiction to actually make any kind of move? Don't you think it would make more sense to not take on literally the strongest soldier of the Fire Force? Go attack them at their base, where it's just the couple of them, not an entire city plus other Fire Force soldiers and the strongest dude ever. It makes me wonder if they're trying to kill two birds with one stone, not only getting rid of the 8th and stopping their investigations into their group, but trying to deal a massive blow to Asuka and in turn the 7th, because from what I can tell, the Whiteclads and the Evangelists are religious fanatics, and the 7th being traditionalist. There's definitely a juxtaposition there. It does just make me curious, why did they wait till this exact moment to attack? But I am super curious. Basically, the ending of the battle between Shinra and the two Whiteclads Ironclad members, ends with one of them ingesting an infernal insect. Now, we know that this turns a person into an infernal, but what does it do with a supposed high-level pyrokinetic? Well, we don't know for a fact that did he use any fire things? I don't know, but I assume he's a pyrokinetic. I assume he's at least somewhat high level. Does that have anything to do with what makes an infernal? Because if we look at the criminal, the dude who murdered people, who turned into an infernal and he kept his sentience, was that because he was a pyrokinetic already? Was that because he was stronger than average? What would it do to a high level person to turn into an infernal? Would it basically be an infernal 2.0? I am curious to see the result of that dude eating the bug. Last but not least, where's the other twin? I mean, we've seen people have been basically switched out with imposters, and those are just imploding all over the place. Are the people that were kidnapped alive, dead? Are they really gonna kill off a twin? I don't want them to. Anyways, I hope we get more badass battles. I hope we get more information. I hope we see the climax to Shinra and Arthur's battle, because honest, I am just fucking curious as shit. So with all that being said, I cannot wait for future episodes.